What's good, guys? Welcome back to another video. Honestly, Bitcoin is not looking particularly amazing today, but we do have a news day today, and we're going to try to find whatever we can on Bitcoin. I'm going to break it all down within this video. Before we get into it, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Xuan. I've been publicly documenting the success rate of all of these YouTube calls for the last year and a half or so, and currently I'm at about a 75% win rate. So chances are I tend to be right just a tiny bit more than I'm wrong. So with that out of the way though, let's actually get into the video. Now, first things first, I am going to talk a little bit about yesterday because basically what I kind of said would happen ended up happening, right? If we take a look at even the previous FOMC day, which I believe was around the 8th of July, what ended up happening on an FOMC day is price just ended up chopping. And then the next day we get much more kind of clear directional movement. Yesterday, we ended up, again, just chopping around. And today, we are going to hopefully get some more clear directional movement. Now, as for where that directional movement is going to be, we're going to start things off on the daily chart, as well as the weekly bias, actually. So the weekly bias has not changed. Well, newsflash, weekly bias doesn't change. It takes at least a week for that to change. By the way, we are still looking for some sort of a move to 67,250. This is a couple of relatively equal highs over here. And so far, this entire week so far, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, has been trading below the weekly open, which means we now have an opportunity to buy low and then take advantage of a movement towards the upside to basically sell high. So in terms of the weekly bias, we are looking for some sort of a bullish move. Now, in terms of the daily bias, we are looking for also bullish because yesterday, even though it ended up being a very rangy candle, we ultimately still closed bullish, right? This was the daily open and we closed just a tiny bit above, which means we're going to be looking for some sort of a long. And as far as that goes, let's go into the lower time frame to see if there are any kind of supporting pieces of evidence to get us into some sort of a long for today. And immediately we can see that we have a hourly PD array over here, and this is going to be the order block that we're going to be working with until for the foreseeable future as far as today goes. Now, in the event that this order block gets closed below in the 1 hourly chart, guess what? We're not going to be looking for a trade on Bitcoin, and instead we are going to be looking for trades elsewhere. Now, elsewhere, meaning you've got tons and tons and tons of other charts out there. Not only do you have Forex, you have indices, but at the same time, you also have a bunch of other crypto tokens that you can trade. Just because Bitcoin is not giving the opportunity today does not mean that we have to force something on Bitcoin. This is why you always see me, I'm perfectly cool with no trade days on Bitcoin. Because for example, even yesterday, we managed 2.45 on just the call alone, and then we ended up getting another 2R. I won 2 trades on the Blueprint live trading call yesterday, which by the way, if you'd like to live trade alongside with me and just work with me one-on-one, feel free to click the first link in the description box below, where I will handhold you every step of the way as you are learning this game of trading. And especially I'm just going to help you install this system that is pretty high win rate, and nobody else in the trading industry is doing it like this because one-on-one does not really scale, and yet it works because half the students that come through our doors end up getting funded. So if you're interested, just click the first link in the description box below. But otherwise, just because we did not have a trade, well, I did not have a trade on Bitcoin yesterday, does not mean I was looking at something else, right? Yesterday, I called 2 trades on the live trading call, technically 3 actually, and one of them ended up losing. It was a USD JPY trade, and then we had a couple of wins on USD Canadian and gold. Now tonight, I'm going to have another live trading call. So in the event that I don't end up posting anything on Twitter today, just understand that I am basically live trading and answering questions to 50 to 60 people on a live trading call. It can be pretty tough to kind of multitask when I am basically bombarded with a load of questions. But anyways, if you don't have the setup on Bitcoin, look for setups elsewhere. Remember that your job at the end of the day as a trader is that you are basically looking to take the trades that are the highest probability out there. So anything that gives you, for example, if you have the difference between a trade that looks like a 5 out of 10 and another chart that looks like a 9 out of 10, it doesn't matter what the name of the chart is. It doesn't even matter how it looks like. As long as it's a more higher quality setup, that's the one you end up taking. Why? Because your job as a trader is to make money. How do you make money? By taking ideally high probability trades over low probability trades. How do you differentiate that? Well, one of the ways that I do it is I assign a score of 1 to 3 on a lot of different charts. I'm going to run you through a very quick example here. Bitcoin at the moment is okay, we have a bullish daily bias and we've got a pretty decent idea, but at the same time, you can tell that price is in a range. I can also make the argument that price is going to kind of sweep the range low. Now that the range low had been swept yesterday, we can go towards the range high. So I'm going to put this at somewhere around a 2 to potentially 3, right? I'm going to say a strong 2, but not quite 3. So then I'm going to move on to a different chart, right? In this case, let's take a look at the GBP. Well, GBP, you have a very bullish daily bias, and so far you're coming back into a fair value gap. So in the event that this high over here gets CISD'd through, I'm going to say, all right, this is actually super decent, right? Retracement and then continuation in the direction of the trend. So I'm also going to give this like a really strong 2, potentially even a 3. Now, as an example, I might even look at something like the Nasdaq and like, okay, we have a bearish daily bias. This is a bearish order block that we've just traded into. And so far, everything looks super bearish, right? In terms of, direction, super clear. I'm going to say this is a 3. And I'm going to just do the same thing on all of the charts that I, currently have access to on my watch list, which is around 10. And amongst the 10, I'm going to basically, all right, like if I have 2 or more than 2 level 3 opportunities, guess what? I'm going to ignore everything else that is like level 2 or strong 2, because at the end of the day, I'm just focusing on whatever is strongest. It doesn't matter to me what the name of the chart is. And if you can start applying this kind of mindset, it becomes a lot easier to kind of go for no trade days, because chances are you're going to have a setup elsewhere. And on a rare day where you go through all 10 charts, for example, and everything is like a level 2, guess what? Probably that entire day is just not worth trading, and you'd rather wait for a day where you at least have some level 3 opportunities. And obviously, if I assign a score of 1, that's just no trade, valid, but I think I could do better. And then like amazing, right? This is a chart that I want to focus on. If you can kind of start grading your trades like this, you're going to have a much better time. And this, by the way, is one of the frameworks that I teach inside, Bootcamp or Blueprint as well, which is how do you grade your trades? Again, like a lot of the times we understand the technicals, but how do you apply that technical knowledge that you gain from watching YouTube videos and actually applying into trading on a day-to-day basis that actually gives you money back? That's the goal of this channel. And like you guys see this over and over again on just these daily videos that I make, right? I'm basically repeating myself a lot, but at the same time, to become a master, you simply master the basics, and there is not a lot to learn in trading, right? It's if you break it, if you really break it down, it's quite simple. It's just not easy, right? And that's why so many people struggle. But with that out of the way though, like essentially today, if we end up getting a break below, obviously that is going to be a no-go. And ideally, we're going to be looking for a move towards 64,700. I'm going to zoom out a little bit to see if there are any, higher levels. We've got this one over here at 65,000. So basically these are the couple of intraday levels that we can kind of target. And obviously like in the event that Bitcoin is just super volatile, like, yeah, we could go for more, which technically speaking, because we already have a bullish CISD, right, in the form of here, it's already technically valid enough to just set a trade here, like set and forget, and set the target literally at the highs. It's already valid. Again, we have the range, right? This is the range low, this is the range high. You swept the range low yesterday. Makes sense that you're going to go for the range high. So that's going to be the setup for today. Now, as for the time that we're going to be looking for this, it's going to be basically 8:30 a.m. New York, right? The hour for news, which is meaning, starting from 7:30 all the way to 9:30. That's the time we're going to be looking for a trade. Why? Because the hour for news to the hour after news tends to be the high probability windows when it comes to the system. Essentially, the system performs best when you get trades that are within high impact red folder news. As usual, I'm going to be posting any updates on the X, but again, I have like a live trading call tonight with all of the students. If you'd like to take part in that, just feel free to click the first link in the description box below. A lot of people do make their money back within a very short amount of time, and even if you don't, the knowledge and skills that you learn from the program itself will be worth way more than whatever you end up paying. I'm going to see you guys later or tomorrow. Ciao, ciao.